welcome. This is what we're talking about today, faith over fear. And I don't know if you knew this or not. I didn't. I found it on the internet. But there's 365 fear nots in the Bible. Isn't that crazy? There's one for every day of the year, including leap year, which 2020 is a leap year, which I think is another reason why everything's all jacked up. But 365 times in the Bible, it tells us to fear not. That's pretty crazy. So we're living in fearful times. You can tell that when you go to the grocery store and there's nothing on the shelf. Everyone's bought up all the toilet paper, all of the hand soap's gone. It's just crazy times. We live in an uncertain world. And here's what the deal is too. It's not just an American thing. This is like worldwide. People are freaking out because of this coronavirus, and with good reason. I mean, it could be. I mean, it's a pandemic, and it's very serious. It's to be taken very serious. But there's things that we can fear about and worry about, and then there's a lot of things that it just does no good to be fearful about these things. And so I want to talk about a couple of things in terms of this. For the most part, I mean, everyone knows what's going on, but for the most part, 3 months ago, our whole world was humming along, not just America, but everywhere was doing pretty good. And in America, our economy was doing well. And then this coronavirus hit, and everybody is freaking out. It's amazing to me how the whole world can just stop turning. It seems like we've shut down everything. All of the schools are canceled. Our kids' schools are canceled. All sporting events are on hold. There's no, the NBA decided to cancel their season. Major League Baseball has delayed the start of their season, and hockey, I don't even know. I don't think anyone cares about hockey. Same with soccer. I don't even know when soccer's played, but they're not playing right now. And so, not a huge soccer fan. But anyways, but everything's canceled, and it's just got everybody on edge. And, it's going to hit close to home. The economy's going to take a hit. We know that. People are going to lose jobs. All of us who have a 401k has taken a significant hit on that. And so these are some real things. More and more people are going to be getting laid off. And what we're told to do is we're told to stay home. And we should, with one caveat. I tell my wife that, the fish aren't going to catch themselves. I mean, I can quarantine out on the lake. I mean, there's nobody out there. So, I don't see why that's a problem, but we should listen to them. And people are scared, and people are panicking. And this is what I want to talk about. This is why we should not panic. We should be concerned, and we should be, wash your hands, do what they're asking us to do, but don't panic. I mean, you see this when you go to the grocery store. All of the toilet paper is gone. I'm like, why is it? That's not even one of the symptoms, but why is the toilet paper gone? And so it reminds me of, I just got to thinking this week, it reminds me of one of my favorite movies is Ghostbusters. Remember that movie from back in the good one from the 80s, not the recent one, the one with Bill Murray. And so in the movie, there's mass hysteria. Remember that scene where he's talking to the mayor of New York, and he says, well, let me just show you. Check out this clip right here.
Could accept the fact that this city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
What do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Enough, I get the point.
All right, so it is sort of mass hysteria, maybe not to that level yet, but again, there's things that are within our control and things outside of our control. So like wash your hands, that's something that you can do. But there's other things that are outside of our control. I can't control the stock market. I don't know how all that's gonna shake out. I don't know what's going to continue to happen to my 401k and yours. But I like what Chuck Swindoll used to say all the time. He said, life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react. And it really is true. It's true that most of what happens to us is a small portion of it. Most of it has to do with our reaction to it, and in this case, overreaction. Here's what Jesus said. Jesus told us, he said, don't worry about anything. The Bible tells us, don't worry about anything, instead of pray about everything. But Jesus said in Matthew 6, he talked about, don't worry about the things that people of this world are concerned about. Things like your clothing and your food and all these things that people stress out about. And he says, just, you don't have to worry like that. And you think about it, I've just been thinking a lot about what we worry about, and we all have concerns. We all worry. We all let ourselves go there too often. But most of what there's two things. Most of what we worry about are either out of our control or things that are never going to happen anyways, right? Have you ever done that before? Have you ever worried? Have you ever had anxiety over something that was never going to happen anyways, but you got yourself all worked up? Maybe you developed an ulcer because of it, for something that was just an irrational fear. It reminds me of, I want to show you this clip. This is probably my hands down favorite clip of all time. I've shown it several times at our church, so people that go to Grace Church, you've seen this before. And it's this clip about Bob Newhart, and kids don't know who Bob Newhart is, but he was a great comedian, and in the 80s, and the Newhart Show, I love that. And so he's really funny. He's got like a dry humor, but he's funny. So he's in this counseling situation with this woman who has an irrational fear, and this is his counsel. Kind of a funny take on this. Let's watch this.
Yes, that's me. Should I lay down?
Oh, no, we don't do that anymore. Just have a seat. And let me tell you a bit about our billing. I charge $5 for the first 5 minutes, and then absolutely nothing after that. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Too good to be true, as a matter of fact.
Well, I can almost guarantee you that our session won't last the full 5 minutes. Now, we don't do any insurance billing, so you would either have to pay in cash or by check.
Wow, okay.
And I don't make change.
All right.
And go.
Go.
Well,
What?
tell me about the problem that you wish to address.
Oh, okay. Well, I have this fear of being buried alive in a box. I start thinking about being buried alive, and I begin to panic.
Has anyone ever tried to bury you alive in a box?
No, but truly thinking about it does make my life horrible. I mean, I can't go through tunnels or be in an elevator or in a house, anything boxy.
So what you're saying is you're claustrophobic.
Yes, that's it.
All right, well, let's go, Catherine. I'm going to say 2 words to you right now. I want you to listen to them very, very carefully. Then I want you to take them out of the office with you and incorporate them into your life.
Well, shall I write them down?
Well, if it makes you comfortable, it's just 2 words. We find most people can remember them.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, here they are.
Stop it!
I'm sorry?
Stop it!
Stop it?
Yes, S-T-O-P, new word, I-T.
So, what are you saying?
You know, it's funny. I say 2 simple words, and I cannot tell you the amount of people who say exactly the same thing you're saying. I mean, this is not Yiddish, Catherine. This is English.
Stop it!
So, I should just stop it.
There you go. I mean, you don't want to go through life being scared of being buried alive in a box, do you? I mean, that sounds frightening.
It is.
Then stop it!
I can't. I mean, it's been with me since childhood.
No, we don't go there. Just stop it.
So I should just stop being afraid of being buried alive in a box.
You got it. Good go. Well, it's only been It's only been 3 minutes, so that will be $3.
Actually, I only have a 5, so
Well, I don't make change.
then I guess I'll take the full 5 minutes.
Fine. All right. Well, what other problems would you like to address?
I'm bulimic. I stick my fingers down my throat.
Stop it!
What are you, nut of some kind? Don't do that.
But I'm compelled to. My mom used to call me fatty.
No. No, we don't go there.
But I've been having this dream.
No, we don't go there either.
But my horoscope did say...
We definitely don't go there. Just
Stop it!
what else?
Well, I have self-destructive relationships with men.
Stop it!
You want to be with a man, don't you?
Yes.
Well, then stop it. Don't be such a big baby.
I wash my hands a lot.
That's all right.
It is?
I wash my hands all the time. There's a lot of germs out there. Yeah, don't worry about that one.
I'm afraid to drive.
Well, stop it!
How are you going to get around? Get in the car and drive, you kook.
Stop it!
You stop it! You stop it!
What's the problem, Kathy?
I don't like this. I don't like this therapy at all. You're just telling me to stop it.
And you don't like that.
No, I don't.
So you think we're moving too fast? Is that it?
Yes. Yes, I do.
All right, then let me give you 10 words that I think will clear everything up for you. You want to get a pad and a pencil for this one?
All right.
Are you ready? Mm-hmm. All right, here are the 10 words.
Stop it, or I'll bury you alive in a box!
That's kind of crazy, huh? Like, I counsel people, I would never tell someone they're going to get buried alive in a box. And that's an irrational fear. I mean, that might happen to you. I mean, there's people that's been buried alive before, and that is a truly frightening thought. But, it doesn't do any good to go around wasting time thinking about that. And so, but what he said in there, 2 words, just stop it. And that's kind of a funny take because I deal with people in addiction recovery all the time, every week, and you can't just tell someone who's addicted to drugs or alcohol or prescription painkillers or even like cigarettes or chewing, just stop it. Just I've heard people say, just don't buy cigarettes anymore and you're good. No, it doesn't work like that. I mean, I believe that people can get free of whatever addiction that you have. You can get freedom from that, but it takes a little work, and it's a little more complicated than to just say stop it. So sometimes we need a little help. That's why I believe that God created us for community to help one another in this. And so I want to encourage you today about where we're at and what's going to happen in the future. I don't know what's going to happen. I want to encourage you in that. And so as we think about this, who does have the answers? I mean, I certainly don't have a crystal ball and I can't predict the future. So who's got the answers to what's going on, to the problems in is it government? Does our government have the answers? I mean, they haven't always proven to be trustworthy. Politicians, can you trust politicians? I mean, maybe some, but what about Google? Can you Google the answer to, hey, how is all this coronavirus going to turn out? You can't do that. I mean, nobody knows. You can look to your horoscope. Well, I think it's kind of foolish, but people do that. I was thinking, you guys remember this magic 8-ball? You guys have one of these? I bought this for my kids just as a plaything. And I know what you're thinking. Did I sanitize this? And I do. I got my Clorox wipe here, and I'm keeping it pretty clean. Mainly because my kids had their fingerprints all over this, so I had to clean it before I touched it. But anyways, so I just thought about this because when I was a kid, I used to look to this, and not just in a fun way, but I think that a lot of people live their lives that way, going, well, let me, I got some major things going on in life, and I need the answer to life's greatest questions that I have. So let me ask this magic 8-ball, should I marry this person? And the magic 8-ball will tell you, no, that person's crazy, and you're going to end up face down in the river. Just stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I'm surprised that that's on here. You might ask this magic 8-ball, should I quit my job and get a different career? And he'll say, you might as well. You're going to get fired anyways. You know what I mean? So, this is one that, so I might do this and go, should I work out today? Because you don't feel like working out every day, and I'll look at it and it says no. It was good enough for me, so I shouldn't work out. No, I'm trying to stay in shape, so I work out anyways, right? Let me ask it. Should I eat this candy bar? And it will say yes, definitely. But I know I shouldn't eat that candy bar, right? Here's a big one. Should I? And if my wife was watching, I'll ask the magic 8-ball. Should I? Because I need some answers to this one. Should I go fishing today? And it'll say, ask again later. Okay. Should I go fishing today? And it says doubtful. Let me ask it again. Should I go fishing today? Outlook not so good. Should I go fishing today? Come on, tip it over. Yes, definitely. No, I mean, that's what we do, right? We just keep asking it the same question until it gives us what we want to hear. And sometimes we do that with people too. Sometimes the people have friends who they know aren't necessarily good for them, but they'll go and ask that person for their advice because they're going to tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. So there are answers out there, and that's what we're talking about. I want to find out the answers to life's greatest problems. And yes, the coronavirus thing, I don't know how all this is going to turn out, but I know that there is someone who knows how all this is going to turn out. And I do know that God is in control. And so he may not tell me, he may not, in prayer, he may not give me a billboard and tell me how everything's going to turn out, but I trust him. And I've been walking with God for 23 years, and he's never let me down. So what I want to encourage you to do is to not panic and to have faith in God, because God is the only one that's in control. You're not. You can't control the stock market. You can't. The only thing you can really control is your reaction, your life, to try to control your life. But God is in control. And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about having faith in God, because faith is the opposite of fear, right? So you got faith over fear, because those are two opposite extremes. Because if you're fearful, you're not having faith in God, right? If you have anxiety in your life, like if there's something that makes you anxious, look, I get it. There's, you go to the doctor and you don't know what these test results are going to prove. These things can really cause you to be anxious, but worrying about it and driving yourself crazy with anxiety doesn't really do any good. It just makes things worse. And so faith is the opposite of fear. So what we need to do is we need to turn our fear into faith and just say, God, I trust you. I may not understand it, and God may not tell you the whys about what's going on, but we do know how it's all going to end in the end. And so I want to talk about this passage. If you have a Bible, John chapter 14, this is one of the great passages in the Bible, where, let me just give you the context about what's going on here, because I think this is pretty relevant to our lives too. So Jesus, he died when he was 33, and the 3 years leading up to that, he had a public ministry, and he had 12 disciples, and the 12 disciples went with him everywhere, and they were kind of in training, right? Because he was going to go away, and they were going to take over, and the whole time he was telling them, hey, this is how it's going to shake out. They thought that he was going to become the king and overthrow the Roman government, but that wasn't his plan. He came to serve people, and so he was always healing people and feeding people and just serving people from morning till night. That's what he did. And then right before he was getting ready to die, he met with his disciples in the upper room, and he wanted to give them some final instructions about what is going to go on. And this is where the passage comes in, where he's about to tell them that he's going to be arrested. Because here's what's about to happen. In just a few short hours, they're going to arrest Jesus, and the disciples are going to scatter like roaches, and they're going to go back to their jobs. Some of them go back to being fishermen, because that's what they were when Jesus found them. And they were just hopeless. Like they was like, we've believed a lie for the last 3 years. They didn't know what to do. Their whole world caved in. Have you ever had that happen before? Has your whole world ever just come apart at the seams? I know it's happened to me before, and so we have a choice at that moment. Do we just lean into God and trust Him, or do we turn to other things? Like do we turn to a bottle, or do we turn to some other vice for our comfort? Some people turn to food, and just go all out and eat themselves till they start feeling better, and then you don't feel better, right? And so that's what's happening here. Their world is about to fall apart because they had a plan and God didn't follow their plan, right? They were just dumbfounded because they thought things were going to go. And honestly, I've had that happen. I guarantee you've had that happen. You're trucking along and walking with God, and you have these plans and how everything you think should go, and it doesn't go that way. And then what happens? Your world falls apart, and then you have a choice. Are you gonna lean into God, or are you gonna turn to one of these vices? So let's look at this. I want to show you this on the screen here. So this is John chapter 14, verse 6, or verse 1 is where we're going to start. And Jesus tells them, he goes, "Don't let your hearts be troubled." Okay, we'll just stop right there for a minute, because in our world right now, in 2020, there's a lot of things that can trouble us. There just is. And so for 2,000 years, it's been no different. Wherever you live in the world, there are things that can trouble you. But I want you to think about it like this. So I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl a couple months ago. Do you know? This was last month, actually. And the Kansas City Chiefs, my favorite team, I've been a diehard Chiefs fan my whole life and suffered through the bad season. But anyways, and so, and I think of my son who's 13, Josiah. Man, he doesn't know what it's like to have a bad team. He started rooting for the Royals a few years ago, and they won the World Series. Now he's a Chiefs fan, and they win the Super Bowl. So he just, he's got a rude awakening coming eventually. But so if you think back, most of you guys that are listening to me, you watch the Super Bowl. You may not be a Chiefs fan. Maybe you're a 49ers fan. Sorry about your luck. You guys got the Royals in 2014. We got you back, right? So in the Super Bowl, it was a nail biter. Now, I bite my nails anyway, so I was chewing on my fingers during the Super Bowl. Do you remember that? So the Super Bowl happened, and we were down by 10 points. It was late in the fourth quarter, and Mahomes threw an interception. And look, I'm about as optimistic as anybody, but I'm like, this doesn't look good, right? And at the time, I was really panicked. I mean, I was really just going, this doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I don't know how this is going to turn out. And then we witnessed, a minor miracle and a comeback where they won the game. So Kansas City Chiefs won the game. And they did that with all three playoff games. They were down by 10, had a last minute, late fourth quarter comeback, and they won all three of the games and won the Super Bowl that way. But here's what I want you to think about. Because recently I went back and watched some of the highlights of the Super Bowl game. And I just remember, man, I wasn't panicked. I wasn't nervous about how it was going to. I mean, when we got down, I watched all of the highlights, and when it's like 10 minutes in the fourth quarter or whenever that was, and Mahomes threw an interception, and it's not looking good. But I'm sitting there going, I know how it's going to turn out. I'm not worried at all. And when you know how everything's going to turn out in the end, it causes you to not worry. You just sit there and go, it's going to be a good game, right? And so that's how life is, because God has already told us in the Bible how everything turns out. If you just pick up the book and read it and go to the very end, you see how all this shakes out. So what he said, he goes, Jesus told his disciples, don't let your hearts be troubled, because what was about to happen was going to be a lot of trouble for them, and their life was on the line. And then he goes on, he goes, trust in God, trust also in me. And so again, that goes back to trust. You need to trust in God. Don't turn away from God in hard times when your life falls apart. Don't turn to a bottle. Don't go back to that comfort thing, that vice that you always run to, or that person that you always run to. Run to God. And he goes on. He says, verse 2, he goes, there's more than enough room in my Father's house. He goes, there's more than enough room in my Father's home. I use the New Living Translation. The King James Version says, in my Father's house are many mansions. I like that better, because I like to think that someday I'm going to have a mansion when I get to heaven, because I'm never going to live in one here, and that's fine. I don't need to. Yeah, I don't want a mansion. I don't want to have a huge house like that. You give me 15, 20 acres, I'll be good. But he goes, there is more than enough room in my Father's home. He goes, if this were not so, I would have told you. So would I have told you that I am going to prepare a place for you? He goes, when everything is ready. So you got to look at that. When everything is ready. So we're getting dangerously close to when that time is. I spoke about that last week, that we need to be prepared for the day that Jesus returns. And I don't know when that is. I have no clue. It could be 1,000 years from now, but it could be today. But he says when everything is ready, and so we don't know. He says no man knows the day or the time. He goes, we just need to be ready. He goes, when that happens, he goes, I will come and get you so that you will always be with me where I am. I don't know about you, but I like that, because I don't know how everything's going to shake out with this, but I know that eventually, when it's all said and done, I'm going to be with Jesus for all of eternity. Why? Because I'm a good person? No, it's not because I'm a good person. I like what Andy Stanley used to say. He says, good people don't go to heaven, forgiven people do. And look, I have a past. I have baggage in my life, in my background, but God has forgiven me of all that. So I am confident, I'm 100% confident that when I die, I'm going to heaven to be with Jesus for all of eternity. Not because I go to church, not because I'm a pastor, not because I do good things. It's because I'm forgiven. That's the only reason, is that I'm forgiven. And so he goes on, and so he goes, I will come again. He goes, come get you so that you will always be with me. And let me just pause on that too, because that's what I always look forward to. This world is short. I do a lot of funerals. It causes me to think about how short life is. And there's people in heaven. There's my dad, and there's other people, Ron Davis. There's people who have gone on before me, and they're in heaven. And I can't wait for that day. Someday I'm going to have a reunion with them when I get there. And it's kind of like if you've ever had, you're sitting there, in this. We got cabin fever because it's March and today was nice, but it's February and January is just miserable, and you got cabin fever, and maybe you got a vacation planned in the summertime to go to somewhere warm, maybe the beach or something like that, and you're just looking forward to that. Well, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be looking forward to that day that we step into eternity to be with Jesus forever. So this is what he says. He tells them that. And then in verse 4, look at this. He says, and you know where I'm going. So he's got the 12 sitting there, and he goes, and you know where I'm going. And I love this because Thomas speaks up. Thomas, he goes in verse 5, he goes, and you know the way, and you know the way to where I am going. And he says, no, we don't know, Lord. Thomas said, we have no idea where you are going. So how can we know the way? And I love his honesty. He's one of my favorite disciples just because he was brutally honest. And I thought about, most people know that Thomas has a nickname, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because I thought maybe if you, in the comments, if you write down what Thomas's nickname is. I'll go through it later, and I will give you a prize or something. I'll award you 1,000 points. If you at Grace Church, I always award points, and so, anyways, they're no good here, but when you get to heaven, they're going to be useful. So, anyways, if you know the answer, if you know what Thomas's nickname is, put it in the comments, and we'll check it out later. So, but Thomas. I love him, because he was like, Jesus, we don't know what you're talking about, man. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know where you're going. And then here's what Jesus responded with. In verse 6, Jesus told him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one can come to the Father except through me. So Jesus just kind of put it out there, and he says, listen, I'm the way, and I'm the truth, and I'm the life. He says, no one's going to come to God except through me. There's not many roads that lead to God. There's only one way to God, and that's through Jesus. And what he says is, he says, I'm the way. So he is the way. He's the way to God. There are not many paths to get to God. There's only one way, and it's through Jesus. He is the truth. By definition, he is the truth. Whatever your toughest questions in life are, Jesus is the answer, right? And then the life. Following Jesus is what life really is about. And I'm amazed at how people, even Christians, people who go to church, don't really understand that. They kind of give God part of their life, or a half-hearted effort, and I'll go to church occasionally, and it's not about attending church, and it's not even about reading your Bible and praying and doing all these disciplines. It really is about having a relationship with God. And when you have a real relationship with God, your life will be changed. I tell people all the time, you cannot convince me that you have had a change in your life if there is no change. Like, you can't tell me that you have a real relationship with the creator of the universe and nothing looks different, because our life will look different. And so that's what true life really is. And if you know me, you know that my story is, I got saved in prison back in 1997, and I was pretty messed up. But here's here's why I was messed up, is because I was looking for what the answers to life are. I had this emptiness inside of me, and I just was trying to fill it up. So I went to every party, and I drank they said, here, drink this. I drank it. I woke up with a hangover, and I was like, I still feel empty inside. They said, here, smoke this. So I smoked it, and I still felt empty inside. I put whatever drugs they put before me. I did all of that. I partied as much as I possibly could. I did every crazy thing, slept around, did whatever pleasure our society tells us is what's going to make you happy. I did that, and I woke up the next day, and I was like, they lied to me. That did not make me happy. That did not fulfill the deepest desires in my heart. And it wasn't until I was sitting in prison and I dedicated my life to God. I asked Jesus Christ to be my Savior. And at that moment, I was, first of all, forgiven for everything I've ever done. And at that moment, I became a Christian, and I became a child of God. God gave me a home in heaven and gave me purpose in life. I get out of bed in the morning. I have a reason to live. I have purpose in my life. And the world can't give me that. But also, the world can't take it away either. And so that's good to know. So Jesus is true life. And I just want to say this. Man, if you have never committed your life to Jesus Christ, you are missing out on what life truly is. He says, I'm the way, and I am the truth, and I am the life. He is the life. If you don't have him in your life, you're missing what life really is all about. So let me end with this. I want to wrap it up with this and come across this Psalm 118, verse 6. It says, the Lord is for me, so I will have no fear. What can mere people do to me? I like that attitude. If God is for you, who can be against you? That's also repeated in Romans 8. If God is for us, who can be against? If God is for me, I don't really care who's against me. If I'm good with God, it doesn't matter who's really against me. So all of this, it's just about trusting in God. And I want to just say this again, because when we talk about, you're not going to find this in a magic 8-ball. You're not going to open the horoscopes tomorrow and find the answers to life. The real answer to life is found in this book right here, and it's found with a relationship with God. So if you were to ask me, what is the meaning of life? Like, what you boil everything down, what's it all about? And it really is, it's about, actually, if you were to ask God, what is life really all about? What he wants, and what the answer really is he wants a relationship with you. He loves you. He cares about you. He's been trying to get your attention your whole life. You may not realize that. You may not understand that. But God he just loves you so. Let me tell you how much he loves you. He loves you so much that 2,000 years ago, he sent his son to this earth. And he lived here for 33 years. And he died on the cross. And while doing that, when he was on the cross, he paid your sin debt. He literally took your place on the cross. And he took my place. I didn't deserve that. You didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve to be beaten and mocked and ridiculed like they did to him. But he took all of that because he loved you. And he was making a way so that you could have a real relationship with God. And so what I want to do is I want to give you an opportunity to do that. So you say, well, how do we do that? How do I begin a relationship with God? Well, 23 years ago, I just bowed my head and I prayed a prayer and I said, God, I give you my life. Forgive me of all of my sin. Come into my life. And from here on out, I'm yours. So I want to give you an opportunity to pray something like that. There's no magic formula of what you're going to pray. Any words will work. It's the intent of your heart. So if you've been thinking about this for a long time and you really are sort of sick and tired of being sick and tired, I promise you, if you try God and you give it 100% like you did with everything else, he's going to fulfill the deep desires of your heart. In fact, God is the only one. We all have this God-shaped hole in our heart, and we try to fill it up with other things, and it never satisfies. But a real relationship with Jesus satisfies. And so just pray this prayer. If you're listening to me, watching me, bow your head and just pray this prayer. Right there watching the computer screen, just pray this prayer. Just say, God, right now in this moment, I give you my life. I dedicate my life to you. I believe that Jesus Christ was who he said he was, that he did come here 2,000 years ago, that he did get nailed to a cross in my place. And it's that Jesus that I receive into my life today. And I want you to tell him, just say, God, I'm promising that I'm going to follow you all the days of my life, that I won't turn back. When things get hard, when my plan falls apart, I'm still going to follow you to the very end. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, really quick, that's one of the greatest joys that I have as a pastor and just as a Christian, is to help other people find true life the way that I found it. And so I want to ask that you would do something. If you prayed that prayer for the first time, would you just send me a private message and let me know that you prayed? I asked people to do that last week, and I had someone respond and say that they prayed with me. And so I want to send you just a next step packet that's going to help you take your next step, because what you just did was you took your first step, and now we want to help you take your next step. And it really does get better, and God really does have great plans for you. And so we want to help you accomplish all the goals that God has for you. So